At dinner, my son-in-law laughed. "Don't worry, old man, I'll cover your cheap meal." When the waiter brought the bill, it was already paid on my corporate account. The waiter said, "Thank you again for your $2 million donation, sir." My son-in-law turned white. "My name is Thomas Briggs. I am 72 years old. I built a contracting company with my hands, my back, and a plain rule. A promise is a sacred thing. I am a widower. I am a father. I am a grandfather. For a long time I believed keeping peace was better than winning any argument. I kept quiet when the man who married my daughter mocked me. I told myself it spared her. I told myself it would pass. I let him think I was small because I wanted her to feel safe between us. I was wrong about him. I was not wrong about myself." The room went still. Forks hovered. A couple in the next booth looked over their menus. My daughter, Lydia, glanced at me, then at her husband. She had not seen that receipt. Neither had he. The waiter set a leather folder by my glass. A small card rested inside it, a note from the scholarship office. They thank donors in person when they can. It was my wife Eleanor's idea years ago. "Look people in the eye when you thank them," she said. "It keeps the money honest." Gavin tried to laugh again, but it caught in his throat. "Well, look at that," he said. "Must be a mistake." He reached for the folder. I kept my hand on it. Not hard, just steady. "Please," I said to the waiter, "let him hold it." The young man passed it to Gavin with both hands. Gavin stared at the receipt. His lips moved. He saw my company name. He saw the donation line. He saw the scholarship title in my wife's name. He once said there were too many flowers on Eleanor's grave. He called it waste. I had heard him. I had said nothing. "$2 million," he said, like the number burned. I took a sip of water. I nodded to the waiter. "Thank you," I said. "Tell your manager the program begins in the fall. It is for young tradespeople. They need a path." The waiter smiled and left us. Gavin cleared his throat. "Big gesture," he said. "Very generous." For a man on a fixed income, I looked at Lydia. Her face was calm, but I saw a deep worry there. She knew my old habit of bending. She knew I would not bend tonight. "Eat your steak," I said to him, "before it gets cold." He pushed his plate away. "What is this, Thomas?" "A show?" "You wanted a show," I said. "You chose the place. You wanted an audience." I folded my napkin and set it on the table. "I am done eating." I stood. He stood too. The air felt heavy. I walked toward the door. He followed. Lydia did not move. She looked down at her hands, rubbing the inside of her ring with her thumb. She does that when she is afraid there is no safe choice. Outside, the air had a bite. I could smell rain and cooked meat from the vent in the alley. I reached into my coat and felt the envelope. One page inside. Plain words. I held it out. He did not take it at first. He looked at it like it might go off. "Take it," I said. He did. He looked through the glass at Lydia alone at the table, then back at me. He tried to smirk. "What is this?" "The end of a joke," I said. He tore it open with his thumb. His eyes moved left to right. They stopped. His face drained. He took one step closer. "Is this a threat?" he said. "It is a schedule," I said. 9 in the morning. Business first. Family after. "You cannot do this," he said. I held his stare until he looked away. I walked to my truck and opened the door. The first drops hit the windshield as I pulled out into the road. He did not follow. He would not sleep tonight. I made the first move. I sat behind the wheel and watched him through the glass. He stood alone under the awning with the envelope folded back around the letter, as if paper could hide words once they were read. He kept glancing over his shoulder like the night might tell him what to do. The letter was simple. Bring the company computer and the company telephone. Bring the company card. Be at my office at 9 in the morning. No speeches. Just a time, a table, and a folder with his name. I did not threaten him. I did not need to. I had built a life around rooms where the truth sits on a table and everyone must look at it. I drove the long way home. The city rolled past, dark glass, slow lights, a wet shine on the street. I thought about Lydia's hands on the napkin, how she tried to hold her life together with small motions. I thought about Eleanor's hands, the way she kept our accounts with a pencil and a steady line. "Clarity is a kindness," she used to say. I did not always believe that when I was young. I do now. I do. He had mocked me for years. He liked an audience, parties, dinners, even at my grandson's birthday. He called me retired like it was an illness. He called the company old. He used the company card to drink champagne I would never order. He hid the bill under entertainment. I saw the numbers, but I let it pass. I told myself my pride was a cheap price for my daughter's peace. It was not cheap. It was a steady drain. The way a small leak eats a wall from the inside until the plaster falls in your hands. I kept painting over the stain. I did not want to see what lived underneath. The wipers thumped. The telephone lit up on the seat. Lydia. I did not answer while I drove. I pulled over by the old lumber yard where I bought beams when we were small. The sign still leaned, the way it always had. "Dad?" she said when I called back. "I am here." What was that?" Her voice was thin and careful. "What did you give him?" "An appointment," I said. Silence. I could hear her breathe. "Are you sure?" she said. "He says you are trying to embarrass him." "I am trying to stop him," I said. "There is a difference." "He takes care of us," she said. That hurt. Not because it might be true. Because she believed it was the whole story. "You take care of the children," I said. "He spends money." She drew a breath that shook, then steadied it. "I do not want to fight." "Nor do I," I said. "This is not a fight. It is a table at 9. He brings what is not his. He returns it. We look at a few papers. That is all. You have never done this," she said. "You always let it go." I did. For you, I looked at the dark lot and the old sign and thought about all the wood that had held up our home. Letting it go is hurting you now. She did not answer. The call ended. The screen went black. My hands shook a little on the wheel. Not from fear, from tired. I sat until the rain grew heavy. Then I drove home. I shut the door and leaned against it. The house was quiet. It did not feel empty. It felt ready. I took the twin of his letter from my coat and set it on the hall table. In the morning it would go into a folder. The back porch boards held the day's warmth. The chair beside mine was empty. Eleanor used to sit there and point out birds I could never name. After she died, I kept sitting anyway. It kept me close to the life we made. I stayed quiet for Lydia. That is the truth. She married a man who liked to be loud. He liked his own laugh. He liked the way heads turned when he told a story. He liked to say things that made others flinch, then grin and call it a joke. He used just a joke, like a key to every door. At first, I let it pass. He made Lydia feel chosen. He brought flowers. He opened doors. He said the right things when people watched. He had the shine of a salesman and the hunger to match. He ate money like it proved he was alive. He called that success. He also called me cheap. "Old habits," he said, patting my shoulder when I chose the house cut instead of the prime. He called my truck nostalgic. He called my watch vintage and smirked. He talked about efficiency, which meant I get my way faster. I swallowed it. I watched Lydia's face when he spoke. I saw how she leaned toward him when he seemed strong. I told myself if I pushed back, she would be forced to stand between us. A good father, I said to myself, takes the blow so his child does not have to. I said this many times until it sounded like prayer. But quiet has a cost when you let a small man talk for you. He began to believe his words were true. He began to believe my age was all that was left of me. He began to talk about my company as his future. He told people he was advising me. He hinted he was helping modernize the brand. I heard him in my own yard. A neighbor asked him about work. He smiled and said, "I am basically a consultant." I did not laugh. I looked at Lydia. She heard him too. She winced, a small flinch only a father would catch. Then she smiled bright and changed the subject. That told me more than any argument. She knew, and she carried it alone. I went inside and stood in the kitchen. I touched the counter I built with my brother in 1985. I thought of Eleanor, how she would have taken my face in her hands and told me to be the man she married. I stepped back onto the porch. I drank the cold coffee and did not taste it. I looked at the empty chair and said out loud, "I know." Even a quiet man has a line. 2 weeks ago, the barbecue was at my house. I invited family and 2 neighbors. The grill smoked. Children ran in circles with water guns. The table held paper plates and the potato salad Lydia always loved. I stood with tongs in hand and a dish towel over my shoulder. It felt like home. Gavin arrived late and loud, sunglasses on, shirt untucked. He clapped my back like he was doing me a favor. "Smells like retirement," he said. "How is the pension, old-timer? Need me to bring a real steak next time?" My neighbor's wife looked down. My neighbor looked away. He worked for me years ago and knew better than to laugh at an elder in his own yard. Gavin did not know better. He did not want to. "Some men build," he called, raising his voice so all could hear. "Some men coast. There is room for both." I turned the meat, kept my eyes on the heat, and spoke without looking up. "I know which one I am." He smirked. "Do you?" He put his arm around Lydia and kissed her cheek. She stiffened half an inch. Only a father would see it. He whispered something. She nodded. It looked like fear wearing agreement. Later, he held court by the cooler. He talked about digital coins. He talked about leverage and other words he liked because they sounded like closed doors. He talked about how old money never understood new moves. He made sure I could hear. My grandson tugged my sleeve. "Grandpa," he whispered, "why does he call you antique?" I knelt to meet his eyes. "An antique is something built well a long time ago," I said. "In this house, that is not an insult." He nodded and ran back to the yard. Inside, Lydia rinsed plates. "Do not make a scene," she said, eyes on the sink. "I am not," I said. I rinsed too. We stood close, almost the same person for a minute. Outside, Gavin laughed hard. He told a story about a client who did not know his place. He moved his hands a lot. He wore a hat with my company's logo that someone gave him at Christmas. He did not earn that hat. He came in and leaned in the doorway. "You know, Thomas," he said, trying out Dad but then backing away from it, "if you ever need help with those old books, I will take a look. No charge." I set down the towel. "I know my books," I said. He grinned. "Do you?" he said again, as if the question itself gave him power. I smiled, closed the grill lid, and said, "Eat before it gets cold." He frowned as if I missed a cue. He left. Lydia let out a breath she had been holding. I served the meat. The children cheered. I ate a few bites. The hum of the people I love steadied me. Then I looked across the table at Gavin as he told my neighbor a story about his consulting work with my firm. He said it like a man who never held a ladder for another man in the rain. I lifted my glass and met his eyes. I gave him a small smile he did not understand. He thought I would never lift a hand. The call came on a Tuesday morning. The voice was Frank Delgado, a supplier who has never lied to me in 30 years. "Thomas," he said, "can I ask you something, man to man?" "You can." "A bill came through under your company name," he said. "It says consulting." The job number does not fit anything I know you are building. The amount is not small. It asks us to send money to a new company. The name of that company uses the same letters as Gavin's name. I do not want to send it. Not without your say, send me a copy, I said. It arrived a moment later. I sat at the kitchen table, put on my glasses, and read. The numbers were bold, round, and careless. The Pay To line went to a fresh company that did not exist a month ago. The name used Gavin's initials like a flag. I did not think of courts or policies. I thought of Lydia at her sink with wet hands and a tired back. I thought of Eleanor's neat notes on our old checkbook. I thought of how many paychecks had fed this house, one careful week at a time. I went to my desk and pulled out the company card statement I had been avoiding. There it was again. Champagne after midnight. Clubs we never worked near. Luxury rides to doors with lines of people waiting. The totals ended in neat zeros. It was not a mistake. It was appetite. I scrolled through our messages with a vendor I trusted. I was not hunting for fine print. I was listening for his voice on the page. I found a short line from him. We can get this done, but there is an expedite fee. Then a link to send money to that same new company with his initials in it. I did not need more. I knew the feel of a hand inside my pocket. I set the papers in a stack. My hands shook a little. Not from fear. From the weight of seeing the thing you have tried not to see. I took a plain folder from the hall closet. I wrote his full name on the tab, clear as day, Gavin Reed. I placed the bill inside. I placed the card page inside. I printed the message where he wrote about the expedite fee and set it on top. I closed the folder and put my palm on it. It was not anger I felt. It was a hard kind of calm. I called Frank back. Thank you, I said. Do not pay that bill. Thought so, he said. The relief in his voice told me I was not the only one watching this. When I hung up, the house sounded steady again. Refrigerator hum. A light car passing on the street. It felt like standing in a room after you throw the breaker and everything dangerous goes quiet. In that quiet, you can hear yourself think. I looked toward the porch where Eleanor used to sit and name the birds. I said her name. Then I said his. Saying their names together hurt. It also cleared the fog from my head. I slid the folder onto the counter in the place where I used to put Lydia's school forms. The place where things never got lost. I stood there for a long minute. I knew what I had to do next, and I knew I would do it without raising my voice. I asked 2 men to meet me at the same diner we have always used when the truth needs a table. The windows were bright. The floor was clean. The coffee was plain and hot. The waitress called me dear, and for a second I felt young. Harold Benton slid into the booth. He has been my finance chief long enough to know my face before I speak. He looked at me the way you look at a cracked beam, steady, measuring, already thinking of a brace. Peter Lang came a moment later. He is our outside accountant. He deals in numbers and looks you in the eye. Good men. I set one folder on the table. Nothing fancy, just paper and a name on a tab. Tell us, Harold said. A bill came through under our name, I said. Consulting. Big number. It points to a new company that uses Gavin's initials. Our card shows the kind of nights that never built a house. There is a message where he says, we can get this done, but there is an expedite fee. And he sends a link that leads to that same new company. I have copies. I pushed the folder to Peter. He read. He did not skim. Harold read with him. Neither man spoke while they took it in. I watched the knowledge land in their eyes and settle there. No drama. Just the truth, finding its chair. Finally, Harold looked up. All right, he said. It was not a question. It was the sound a man makes when he lifts the other end of a heavy thing. Peter placed the message on top of the stack, the one with the words, expedite fee. He tapped it once with his finger. His words, he said. That was enough. We will not make a scene, I said. I want him at my office in the morning, 9 o'clock. He brings what belongs to the company. We put paper on the table and ask plain questions. If he has an honest answer, he can give it. If he took what was not his, he can return it. Either way, this stops. Harold nodded. 9, he said. Peter closed the folder and slid it back to me. He was quiet for a moment. Thomas, he said, you waited to protect your daughter. I respect that. It is time. I know, I said. The word felt clean in my mouth. The waitress brought the check. I paid in cash. Coins in a small dish, a simple sound. Harold stood and put his hand on my shoulder. Peter gave a small nod. These men knew my wife. They knew my daughter as a girl with skinned knees and a fearless smile. I could feel their loyalty like a plank under my feet. Outside, the light was thin and good. I tucked the folder under my arm. It pressed against my ribs the way a tool does when you carry it all day. Not a weapon, just something honest that helps you set a line straight. We meet at 9, I said. 9, they said. I walked to my truck. I set the folder on the passenger seat where Eleanor used to put a sack of groceries and a loaf of bread. I turned off the radio. I wanted the quiet. I placed my hand on the folder and left it there. The time was set. The next part would be simple and plain. The folder on my seat would do what my silence never did. My silence will step aside, and the facts will take the central place. I'm going to deliver justice, whether he wants it or not. Soon, my revenge will be the coldest thing he ever saw. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I did not turn on the lights when I walked in. The house knew me. I set the folder on the hall table and hung my coat. The rain made a soft sound against the window. I stood there and listened. It calmed my hands. In the kitchen, I called Harold. It is time, I said. He did not ask what I meant. He said, I will be ready. I called Peter. 9 in the morning, I said. Bring clear eyes. He said, I will. My telephone began to buzz. Messages stacked from Gavin. One said I was spiteful. Another said I was old and confused. The last one said he would take care of this and that I would be sorry. I put the telephone face down on the table and did not touch it again. I took my wife's photograph from the mantel and set it on the table beside the folder. I looked at her face. Steady. Kind. No one ever pushed Eleanor past her line. She had not raised her voice often. When she did, it was to protect what mattered. I placed a small notepad next to the folder. I wrote 4 short lines. Bring what is ours. Put it on the table. Listen. Decide. I did not need more than that. People use a lot of words when they are afraid. I was not afraid. I was done being quiet in the wrong way. Near midnight, my telephone lit up again. Lydia. Her message was short. Are you awake? I called her instead of writing back. I am, I said. He is angry, she whispered. He says you are trying to hurt us. I am trying to stop him, I said. I will not hurt you. She breathed in. What do I do? Sleep, I said. Bring the children to my house tomorrow evening. That is what you can do. She did not argue. All right, she said. I love you. I love you, I said. When the call ended, the house felt warmer. I went to the porch and sat where Eleanor used to sit. I could see the outline of the maple we planted the year Lydia was born. I thought about the first tool I ever held, my father's level, and the way the bubble found center when you were patient. I went back inside and set the folder on the chair by the door. I wanted to see it when I left in the morning. I turned off the hall light. In the quiet, I could feel the next day already taking shape. 9 in the morning would not be a talk. It would be the turn. We sat in the small conference room with the blinds half open. Morning light fell in even squares on the table. Harold sat on my right. Peter sat near the end. 2 directors sat across from me with their hands folded. No one spoke, just to fill the air. Gavin came in late. His shirt was wrinkled. His smile was thin. He looked at the folder in front of his chair and did not sit. "Put the card on the table," I said. He laughed. "You cannot talk to me like that." "Put the card on the table," I said again. He reached into his wallet and set the company card down like a man placing a bad bet. "There," he said. "The telephone," I said. He laid it beside the card. "The computer," I said. He hesitated, then set the company laptop on the table beside the phone. He did not look at me. He stared at the blinds like they might open wider and let him out. Peter opened the folder that had Gavin's name on it. He did not read everything. He did not need to. He picked one page, held it with 2 fingers, and read a line in a calm voice. "We can get this done, but there is an expedite fee." Then he read the name of the new company. The letters matched Gavin's name. That was all. Harold slid another page across the table. The card charges sat in a tight row. The timestamps were in the middle of the night. Places where we do not build anything. He tapped one with his finger. "This is not lumber," he said. Gavin shifted in his chair. "Everybody does it," he said. "You act like you have never—" "No," I said. "I do not act. I do not do this." He looked at me like I had pulled the ground out from under him. "We are family," he said. I nodded. "Family is why I waited this long," I said. "But family is not an excuse. Return what is ours." Today, his mouth opened. Nothing came out. He put his hands flat on the table. His rings clicked against the wood. He looked at the door again. No one told him he could leave. No one told him he could stay. We all waited for him to understand what the room had already decided. Harold gathered the card and the telephone and set them beside the folder. Peter closed the folder and placed his hand on it. "You will not speak for my company again," I said. I kept my voice low. "You will not spend our money. You will not use our name. You will do none of those things again." He stood fast enough to push the chair back. It made a hard sound on the floor. He looked at the 4 of us and tried one more smile. It did not reach his eyes. He walked out without another word. The room stayed quiet. We did not clap. We did not cheer. We were not in a theater. We were in a room where a bad thing had been stopped. That was enough. I picked up the folder with his name on it and stood. "Thank you," I said to the people who had held the line with me. We were done. By noon the shop yard was full. Men and women from the field stood with coffee in their hands and jackets half-zipped. They looked tired and proud in the way working people do when a long morning is behind them. I stepped up on the low step outside the office door. I did not bring a microphone. I did not bring a speech. I held my cap in one hand and Eleanor's photograph in the other. The wind tugged my sleeve. "Good afternoon," I said. The crowd settled. "I want to tell you 2 simple things," I said. "The first is that our house is in order. If anyone has been asked to pay a fee for anything that is not wood or steel or labor, that is over. If anyone has been told to use a name that is not ours, that is over too." Heads nodded. No one asked for details. They did not need them. "The second thing is this," I said, and I lifted the photograph a little. "In the fall, a scholarship in my wife's name will put young people in hard hats and put paychecks in their pockets while they learn. We will also share a little more of our profit with the people who hang our doors straight and pour our concrete true. It is not charity. It is fairness." A small cheer went up. It was not loud. It did not need to be. It sounded like relief. It sounded like respect. I looked out and saw faces I had known since they were 19 and thin, and faces I had only just learned. I saw a young apprentice wipe his eyes with the back of his glove and duck his head. I saw an old foreman lean on one leg and grin like a boy. "Get back to work," I said. "Thank you for doing it the right way." They broke apart. The yard filled with motion again. Nail guns popped. A forklift beeped as it backed. The day went on, the way days do when people know where they stand. My telephone buzzed. Lydia. She had seen the bulletin I had taped to the glass door before stepping outside. "Mom would have liked that," she wrote. "She would have liked you more," I wrote back. I stood alone for a moment on the low step. I felt the shape of the absence where Gavin used to stand and pretend he was part of us. The shape was cleaner now. The air felt easier to breathe. I went inside to clear his desk. He was waiting at the curb when I pulled up to my house. His car blocked my driveway. The engine was still running. The music was loud. He killed it when he saw my face. He walked toward me fast, his hands open, then closed, then open again. "You ruined me," he said. His voice had a crack in it. "You think this makes you a hero?" "I think this keeps my daughter fed and safe," I said. He laughed once, sharp. "Lydia needs me." "Lydia needs peace," I said. He took a step closer. I did not step back. I held a small box in my hands, the kind you use for office things. Inside were his sunglasses, a framed photo he kept on the desk, the hat with my company logo that he liked to wear. I set the box on the hood of his car. "You can keep the hat," I said. "You did not earn it, but you can keep it." He stared at the box like it might bite. "I will tell everyone you did this because you were jealous," he said. "I will tell them you are old and bitter." "Tell them," I said. "Then show them the bill." He flinched. For a second I saw the boy he had once been. Quick mouth, slow spine. A boy who learned that louder often passed for right. He tried again. "This will hurt Lydia." "No," I said. "You already did. I am stopping the rest." He looked past me at the house. The porch light was on, though the day was not dark yet. I keep that light on. It was Eleanor's rule. A home should not greet you in darkness. "This is not over," he said. "It is for me," I said. "You will not come to my house again. You will not speak to me unless it is through a door I choose to open. You will not use my name." He picked up the box and held it against his chest. The hat slid and fell to the ground. He did not bend to get it. "You will be sorry," he said, but it sounded thin now. "I am sorry," I said. "I am sorry I waited this long." He backed toward his car. He tried for one more smile and could not find it. He got in, shut the door, and sat there with his hands on the wheel for a long beat. Then he drove away. The porch light made a small circle on the step. I stood inside it and watched the street until it was empty. Then I went in and called Lydia. "Bring the children," I said. "Let us eat together tonight." "Yes," she said. I set 2 extra plates on the table. I put the hat with my company logo on a nail in the garage where I hang old tools. I did not plan to wear it. I hung it there to remind myself of a line that will not be crossed again. Morning light hit the edge of my desk. Harold stood with his sleeves rolled up. Peter sat across from me with a thin stack of paper. No one spoke until he was ready. He set 1 page in front of me. "We followed the money," Peter said. "It is not 1 bill. It is 4, the same path every time he tapped the line that mattered. Our company name. The new company with Gavin's letters. Transfers that landed on Fridays near midnight. The figures were large. Too large to call a mistake and walk away." I felt the old steady anger rise, not hot, but heavy. The kind that drives a nail straight the first time. "How much?" I asked. 6 figures, he said, and gave the real number. It was a number you do not forget once you hear it out loud. Harold slid another page forward. "Vendors helped us," he said. "Frank told the others to wait for your voice." They waited. He looked at me. "You still have that kind of pull." It should have made me proud. It only made me wish I had used it sooner. Peter turned the last page over. He did not crowd me with words. "This is enough," he said. "You do not need more." "I do not want more," I said. My hands were open on the desk. "I want it back." "All of it," Harold nodded. "We can make that very clear without shouting," he said. My telephone buzzed. Messages from numbers I did not know. Some were Gavin's friends, men who liked the sound of their own names. They said I was cruel. They said I was jealous. I put the telephone face down. I looked at the stack again. I thought of the scholarship in Eleanor's name. I thought of apprentices who would learn to weld on clean steel because someone cared to pay for it. I thought of Lydia at a kitchen table, counting and counting again. "Bring him in?" Harold asked. "No," I said. "We did that. Now I will bring this home where it belongs." Peter folded the pages back into the folder. "There is one more thing," he said. "2 transfers were stopped this morning. The bank froze them because of the timing. Those dollars will not leave you." I let out a breath I had not known I was holding. "All right." Harold put his hand on the folder, then lifted it and set it in front of me. "Say what you mean," he said. "Let him feel the edge." "No more cushions." "I will," I said. The room was quiet. It was the quiet before a beam sets and the house takes its own weight. I stood and took the folder in my hand. I could feel the shape of the day through the paper. "It is enough," I said. "Now we make him give it back." Lydia came in with no makeup and a sweater pulled close. She looked younger and older at the same time. She stood in the doorway, then came straight to the table and sat. I set the folder down between us. "Show me," she said. I opened it. I did not talk fast. I laid the pages out the way I would lay tools on a bench. First the bill, then the card page with the late nights, then the message with the words, "expedite fee," in his own voice. Her eyes did not leave the paper. She read every line. Her hands were flat on the table. When she looked up, there was no confusion in her face, only a hard grief. "How long?" she asked. "Long enough," I said. "I am sorry for that." "Did you wait because of me?" she asked. "Yes." It was a small word. It felt heavy. She swallowed. "I told myself he was just careless," she said. "I told myself he was showing off." She put a finger on the line with the new company's name. "This is not careless." "No," I said. "This is a hand inside the house." Her eyes filled, but she did not cry yet. "He told me you were jealous," she said. "He said you could not stand to see us make our own way." "I wanted you to have peace," I said. "I gave too much room to a man who did not deserve it. That is on me. But this," I touched the paper, "this is on him." She took a long breath and let it out. "What happens now?" "You bring the children here tonight," I said. "You pack a bag. You do not tell him where you are. I will ask for the money back. All of it. I will not use your name to do it, because your name is not part of this." She stared at the wall like she could see through it and into the future on the other side. "He will be furious," she said. "I know." "He will say it is my fault," she said. "He will be wrong," I said. The tears came then, quiet and steady. I slid a clean towel across the table. She took it and pressed it to her face. "I did not want to bring you this," she said from behind the cloth. "You are not bringing me anything," I said. "He brought it to my door. I am answering it." She wiped her eyes and set the towel down. She looked at Eleanor's photograph on the shelf by the window. "She would not have let it go this far," Lydia said. "No," I said. "She would have raised her voice sooner." Lydia gave a small, broken laugh. Then she nodded. "All right," she said. "I will get the children after school. We will sleep here. And tomorrow—" "Tomorrow you do not have to choose between us," I said. "The choosing is over." She stood and came around the table and put her arms around me like she had when she was small and scraped her knee. Her hands shook on my back. "Thank you," she said into my shoulder. Please end this. I will, I said. I promise. He came at dusk, when the street lights were not yet on, and the world looked unsure of itself. He did not knock. He hit the door with the flat of his hand. I heard Lydia go still in the hall. The children were in the back room with a movie turned up just a little too loud. "Open the door!" he shouted. "Thomas, open the door right now!" I opened it halfway and stood in the gap. He smelled like aftershave and anger. His hair was combed too neatly, the way a boy does when he thinks neatness can fool a teacher. "You told her lies," he said. "You poisoned her." I kept my voice level. "Your words did that," I said. "You wrote them yourself." He tried to push past me. I held the edge of the door and did not move. "You do not come in," I said. "You cannot keep a man from his own family," he said. "You kept yourself," I said, and stepped out onto the porch so the children would not hear him. I closed the door behind me. The porch light was already on. It made a clean circle on the boards between us. He pulled his telephone from his pocket and held it up like a weapon. "I am going to tell everyone what you did," he said. "I am going to tell them you are a bitter old man who cannot stand to be replaced." "Tell them," I said. I took a single page from my back pocket. The printout was folded once. I held it up so he could see his own words. "Then show them this, too." He did not take it. He did not have to. He knew the line. "We can get this done, but there is an expedite fee." His face twitched. "Everyone does it," he said. The words were smaller this time. "You are making too big a deal." "This house is not everyone," I said. "This company is not everyone." I took a step closer. "You took food from your own table and called it hustle." He looked past me, toward the window where Lydia's shadow moved. "Lydia," he called, voice high now. "Baby, he is turning you against me." The curtain did not move. She did not come. "Return the money," I said. "All of it. By the end of the week, then walk away." He stared at me like he could will me back into the smaller man he preferred. He could not. The light from the porch threw his shadow wide across the steps. He looked bigger on the wood than he was on the boards. "I will make you pay for this," he said through his teeth. "You already did," I said. "This is me closing the account." He made a sound that was not quite a laugh and not quite a sob. He turned and went down the steps fast, nearly missing the last one. He did not look back. I stood alone in the circle of light and listened to his engine fade. Then I went inside and locked the door. Lydia stood in the hallway with her hand on her throat, breathing like she had just run. I put my hand over hers. "We are almost through," I said. "Almost," she said and nodded. The call came late the next morning. Harold again. His voice had that low rumble it gets when he tries not to sound pleased. "A transfer just landed," he said. "A large one. It is the first chunk. It came from the new company's account." "How much?" I asked. He told me. It would pay the men on Friday. It would put a row of new helmets in the training shed. It would not fix the whole thing, but it was the beginning of a door closing. "Thank you," I said. I hung up and stood very still. The kitchen smelled like coffee and fresh toast. Lydia was at the sink rinsing a cup. She looked at me. I nodded once. Her shoulders dropped and she closed her eyes. "Good," she said. A few hours later, my telephone rang again. Peter this time. "You should know," he said. "A man put a plain envelope in Gavin's hand in a parking lot. I am told he read it in his car for a long time." "What did it say?" I asked. "Only what you already said to his face," Peter replied. "Return what is ours. Do not use our name. Stay away." "Good," I said again. I stepped out to the porch and sat on Eleanor's old chair. The maple threw a slow shade across the yard. A small sedan rolled to a stop across the street. Gavin got out. He did not cross over. He stood with both hands on the roof of his car and stared at my house. There was no music playing this time, no loud shirt. He looked like a man who had been standing in a bright room and stepped into reality all at once. He took his telephone out, then put it back in. He lifted a hand halfway as if to wave, then dropped it. He got back in the car and drove away without saying a word. Inside, Lydia was packing small things into a bag for the children, a favorite book, a stuffed animal with a loose ear. She moved with calm purpose. "He will give the rest," she said, not as a hope, but as a plan. "He will," I said. "Or he will meet a wall he cannot move." That night, as the house settled and the children slept down the hall, I took the hat with my company logo from the nail in the garage and set it on the workbench. I smoothed the front once with my hand. Then I turned off the light. There was more to finish. But for the first time in a long time, the path forward felt straight. He came back at sunset with a paper bag and a smile that did not belong to his face. The porch light was already on. That small circle made the world simple, inside and out. He knocked, soft at first, then louder. "Thomas," he said, "I brought dinner." "Let me in. We should talk." I stood with my hand on the knob and did not turn it. Lydia was in the kitchen rinsing grapes for the children. The movie in the back room was turned down low. I did not want her to hear his voice again. "Leave the food," I said through the door. "Then go." "Come on," he said, laughed thin. "You made your point." "I sent the first transfer. We can work this out." "You will send the rest," I said. "Then you will leave my family alone." "You cannot keep my wife from me," he said. "You do not own her." "I do not own anyone," I said. "I protect what bears my name. That includes this house and our work. Lydia will make her choice without you standing in my doorway and shouting, 'Silence.'" I could feel him leaning close to the wood. "I will be better," he said. The voice went small. "Tell her that." "Please," I glanced toward the hallway. Lydia stood with a towel in her hands. She shook her head once. She did not want me to open the door. I would not. "She knows what you are," I said. "And she knows who she is. That is enough." He let out a breath that sounded like a flat tire. "You think you won," he said. "You think this makes you a good man?" I looked past the door at the maple shadow moving on the wall. "I do not think anything," I said. "I know what is right here. That is enough for me." He hit the door with his palm once, not hard, a show for himself. Then he set the paper bag on the step. I heard the paper crinkle. "You are old," he said. "Someday you will need me." "When that day comes," I said, "I will call a neighbor." I waited. His footsteps finally went down the steps and across the walk. The car door slammed. The engine caught. The sound faded. I opened the door only to pick up the bag. Cold noodles inside. I set it on the porch rail for the stray cat that prowls the fence line. Then I locked the door again. The key turned smooth. Eleanor always oiled the tumblers before winter. I kept the habit. Lydia came to the hallway. "Thank you," she said. "We are done letting him in," I said. She nodded. "We are done." The children laughed at something in the back room. The house felt steady, like a beam finally set. I took Eleanor's photograph from the mantel and set it back in its place. Our porch light stayed on. 2 weeks passed. The new apprentices filled the yard in clean boots that would not stay clean. A welding arc cracked in the training shed, and someone laughed the way young people do when work finally feels real. I sat on the bench by the office door with Eleanor's photograph in my pocket and watched a line of weld steady. A foreman I have known for 30 years passed and said, "Feels right." It did. My telephone buzzed. A photo from Lydia, 2 sticky faces at my kitchen table. "Save 2 seats for dinner?" she wrote. "Always," I wrote back. She called to say the rest had been transferred and that the door would stay closed. "Come at 6, I said. "We will," she said. I walked the yard once and told the new hands what an old man once told me. Keep your line straight. Keep your words straighter. Evening came. The children's voices rose in the driveway, and Lydia hugged me at the door. We ate at the table Eleanor chose and laughed more than we talked. Later, I stood on the back porch and listened to the good kind of quiet. The world had taken enough. I had taken back what I could, and I had set the line straight. How much of yourself would you give before you call it enough? Do you believe I did everything correct? Share your opinions in the comments.
My grandpa's words really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.